Heading to Mexico today. One year ago, my husband and I obtained our one-year temporary Mexican residency cards. In March of 2026, we went back to Mexico for the first time since getting our Mexican residency to renew our residency for an additional 3 years. I booked our round-trip nonstop tickets through JetBlue during peak spring break season as our one-year residency cards were expiring at the end of March. In this video, I'm going to share with you our experience of traveling from Tampa, Florida to Cancun, Mexico, the challenges we had, and what has changed over the last year. Hi, I'm Nikki. Welcome to La Paz Bound. So I booked our flight tickets through Chase Travel since we wanted to use our points to pay for the bulk of our flight. Since it was spring break, the round trip flight was very expensive, and I'm glad that we had over 140,000 points on our credit card. It took our flight price from $2,500 down to $700 for the two of us, which is much better. The only problem was that since we booked through a third party, our first and middle names, they were joined together on our itinerary and boarding pass. We had problems last year when I booked my husband's ticket under his nickname of Don rather than his legal name of Donald. That was my bad. I'm happy to report that we had no problems with how our names were displayed on our tickets this year. A day before our flight, I got a notification from JetBlue that we needed to validate ourselves by uploading our passports into the JetBlue app. We got to Tampa International Airport 3 hours before our flight, which means we were up at 4:30 and there by 6:45, only to find out that our flight was delayed by an hour. With the latest government shutdown and the long lines at many airports across the United States, we were expecting a very long travel day. Luckily, we moved through security in about 30 minutes, and the TSA agents, they seemed in good spirits despite having not been paid for a few weeks. Okay, so we're at the Tampa airport. I see Don in security. I still have that TSA pre-check, and we're going to get that for him if we're going to keep going to Mexico on different explorer trips. I do see him in regular security. It's not too bad today. Actually, I thought it would be really, really bad because it's spring break, but it's not too bad. I got through security in about less than 5 minutes. I did have to take off my shoes. My shoes, the buckles set it off. I thought it was going to be my hairpins, you know, my Carolyn Bessette bun. Is that bad omen to wear a Carolyn Bessette bun and fly? Ooh, don't know. So anyway, okay, so our flight is delayed. We're supposed to be on a 9:41 a.m. It's like 6:45 here this morning. And it's delayed till 10:21, but that's okay. I mean, this is why I got the nonstop. This is why we paid more for it, so that we wouldn't have to miss a connecting flight. Anywho, we're gonna get some breakfast once Dawn gets through security, and then go to our gate. For those that didn't upload their passports for validation, they were called up by a gate agent. Luckily, we weren't called up this time, unlike last year. Once it was time to board our plane, JetBlue said they were trying out a new biometric process rather than scanning your boarding pass and showing your passport like we did in 2025. And it worked pretty well. You simply stepped up to the circle on the floor, looked at the camera, and then the gate opened. With weather delays, we sat on the tarmac for about 30 minutes before takeoff. Our flight was smooth, and we were only in the air for about 90 minutes. Since we didn't get our I&M appointments until about 2 weeks prior to our flight, we didn't have a lot of seats to pick from on the plane when booking. We couldn't find 2 seats together, but we did end up getting 2 aisle seats not far apart. Once we landed in Cancun, we sat on the tarmac for another 30 minutes, waiting for another plane that was getting ready to push back from our gate. Just as we did in 2025, we came in through Terminal 4 and followed the winding hallways and the escalator down to immigration. As we did last year, we each had printed statements on a piece of paper stating in Spanish that we were temporary Mexican residents and we were here for a week to renew our residency. We showed the immigration agent the paper statement, our residency cards, and then our passports. It's important to keep in mind that as residents, to never use the automated kiosks, as that can invalidate your residency and enter you into Mexico as tourist. Always go to an immigration agent. So the immigration agent stamped our passports with RT for Residencia Temporal. I've got to give the Cancun Airport credit for how efficient they are with getting people through immigration very quickly. Just like in 2025, we got through immigration in under 10 minutes. Okay, hopefully you can hear me over the music. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike. Okay, so we made it to Mexico. We got here, we had about a half-hour wait on the tarmac in Tampa, and then another half-hour to get to our gate in Cancun because there was another plane at our gate. Sorry, I'm fiddling with this. But we made it through immigration, no problem. Last time our facilitator told us what to print in Spanish to show them that we're here for Kanye. Not Kanye, Kanye. This time I printed up something that says we're here to renew, we're temporary residents and we're here to renew our residency card and we'll be here for a week. And she stamped us as RT in our passports. We showed the resident card first, as we've been instructed by our facilitator and several other people. And then we showed our passports when she asked for it. And made it through. 5 minutes, maybe, at most. Very efficient here. Okay, let's go. Since we didn't check a bag and only had carry-on bags, we didn't have to go through customs. And just like in 2025, you can't film when going through that part of the airport in Cancun. Once we walked past the customs area, we entered the car rental and currency exchange hallway before heading through the shark tank of timeshare salespeople, and then out into the waiting area for taxis and shuttles. Being spring break, it was very busy in the waiting area. I had booked through USA Transfers again since we had a good experience with them last time. This time we weren't staying in Cancun, and since there's no direct audio bus to Puerto Morelos, which is where we stayed this time, and we didn't want to have to lug our bags from the airport to the Cancun downtown bus station, we went with a shuttle service. It's an entire van just for us, and it was $115 USD round trip. The shuttle dropped us off at our Airbnb and was waiting for us at the designated time to take us back to Cancun on the day of our departure. You can also customize your shuttle experience with USA Transfers with balloons and alcohol, or stops at local grocery stores for things that you may need before arriving at your hotel or Airbnb. We had a very smooth experience getting back into Mexico. So let me share with you now what it's like to exit Cancun as a temporary Mexican resident. Just like when we left Tampa, a day before our departure, I had to scan our passports for validation into the JetBlue app. When you get to the Cancun Airport, if you're checking a bag, you'll need to do that first. Don had tequila last year and checked his bag. However, this year, we didn't need to check our bags. We were dropped off at Terminal 4 just like last year. Once you head inside after checking any bags, you'll need to walk down to immigration so that they can properly stamp and document your passport. The immigration office is located all the way down the terminal just on the other side of the escalators that you take up to go to security. It's a small office, and just like in 2025, we didn't have any wait. Just like when you are entering Mexico, you show the immigration agent your temporary resident card first and then your passport. They will ask you your flight number and then will stamp your passport and physically write RT in your passport. And that's it. That's all you have to do at immigration when leaving Mexico. You can then put away your temporary residency card and head up to security where you'll show your passport and your boarding pass. You don't need a paper boarding pass in 2026. You can scan the boarding pass on your phone. I did get stopped in security for something in my bag. I bought a bag of harina, or all-purpose flour, in Chedraui and put it in my carry-on suitcase. I wanted to test out Mexican flour versus the all-purpose flour that I can get in the United States. I had to open my suitcase and pull out the flour. The agent and we had a really good laugh over what it was when she inspected it. Terminal 4 in Cancun looks a lot different for departures than it does for arrivals. There's a lot more duty-free stores and restaurants in the departure area. So one thing to note is that the Cancun Airport, it doesn't display gate information for your flight until about 30 to 45 minutes before boarding. My JetBlue app gave us our gate number, but that's not necessarily the gate that you will be leaving out of. Last year we had to change gates and JetBlue notified us of the change. When we got back to Tampa, we had to go through customs. There's a general line, a global entry line, and a line for USA passport holders. Unlike last year, where it was so crowded in the general line and things were moving slowly because of limited immigration agents, Tampa International Airport, they installed biometric machines, which makes getting through customs a lot easier. They scan your face, ask if you have anything to declare, and then move you right through. And it was so much better than last year's experience. So that's how to enter and exit Mexico as a temporary Mexican resident in 2026. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, hasta luego, my friends.